Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas Carter Rochester. That is David Thompson, and we are here for yet another special episode of Lights, Thunder, Action. I just messed up our entire intro because that is the day that we're having. I'm having. How you doing, David? Since I messed up.
No worries. There's no messing up here on Lights, Thunder, Action. We just go with it. We roll with the punches. I'm doing spectacular this Tuesday evening, and I hope you're doing just as well.
I have been going for 12 hours.
Oh, back to back. Yeah, I've been up since 5, so we're rolling, man. And
to your left, your left. Yeah, we did it.
Yep. All right. Back to back interview today. So we've had 3. This is our 3rd straight day of being live on Facebook and YouTube, obviously. So thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Thomas, for being here as always.
Thank you, David, for looking better than me as always. Peter Parker over here.
Not sure about that one, but thank you.
So we're here yet again for another special interview. I'm sure you're getting tired of looking at me and hearing us talk, but that's okay. It's not about us today. It is about an esteemed science fiction writer and novelist. She has worked on Star Trek: The Next Generation, Odyssey 5, a host of so many things that if I started rattling off the list, this would go an hour. But she's also a writer of sci-fi novels, which her newest one came out today. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Melinda M Snodgrass to our show. How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm good. It's too hot in New Mexico, and but it's good to be home. And out of Los Angeles. So I'll say that much.
Oh, very cool. Did you just travel from Los Angeles to New Mexico?
Well, yeah, in March, actually. I've been working out there because I've been doing television work, and then there was this pandemic thing, It kind of changed everything, and I grew up in New Mexico, and this is home. So I was like, I think I would rather ride out the pandemic in New Mexico than in Los Angeles with a few million other people.
Right.
So I came home, and have been trying to put my life back organized. I mean, move stuff back and have been unpacking, and the horses come next week, and when I'm trying to write.
Right.
It's been a little crazy, but that's sort of been in 2020,
Yeah, that really has. That's been the story of 2020 so far. So have you does this interview, or not the interview, has this year inspired you at all? In a way, from a writer's perspective? Because I feel like I've heard a lot of people have said, we're going to get a lot of good fiction out of 2020 in like the next few years, because so many creative people are just sitting at home having to stare at a wall all day and just have thoughts running through their head. So have you experienced that at all?
Well, I think I'm doing a lot of work. I have a TV series that we're hoping to shoot. We were hoping to shoot the pilot in June, but that didn't happen.
Can we know what the series is?
Not yet.
Oh,
such a journalist. You had to ask.
Yeah, I always have to ask the question.
It's kind of an occult thriller. And so I've got that. So we've been preparing a lookbook and, hopefully putting together a sizzle reel and doing all that stuff. And I've got a couple of novels I'm working on, and, but there are moments when I kind of go, sweet asteroid of death. I'm ready, because this is an awful year. It's inspired me, though, to write, I think, hopeful fiction rather than dystopian, because we're living in one. And so I'm kind of going, it will get better. We will get through this. That's been sort of how it's been affecting me. So.
That brings up the famous quote from Star Wars: "Hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you see it, you'll never make it through the night."
My favorite. I hate to admit it. All the Trek people get mad at me, but it's my favorite franchise. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, huge.
You're right at home here, because we are both huge Star Wars fans. No offense, I'm not actually much of a Trekkie myself. I know, Thomas, you are a bit more than me.
More than you.
More than me.
A lot more than you, but that's only a few movies that I've seen.
Well,
I would say,
I grew up on the show, and so I had a fondness. But then I think when you work with something, it's sort of like and New Trek seemed very clean. And I love Star Wars. I love the fact that it's grungy and there are pirates and there are smugglers and cops trying to chase them down, and it just feels more grounded for me. And so I think that's why I love it so much. I mean, I'm very grateful to Star Trek. It started my Hollywood career, but Star Wars is my thing.
This is a completely we got to just go down this rabbit hole. I have a question out for both of you, just as Star Wars fans. I was so we have this series here on Lights, Thunder, Action, Trilogy of Trilogies we call it, and we've been doing trilogies and reviewing them week by week. And right now we're in the middle of the original 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars, and we just finished Empire last week, and we're doing Return of the Jedi this coming weekend.
So good,
great movie, obviously love it. There's part of me watching this film, knowing all the other films, where it's like, why is each planet have the same like environment all around the planet? You know what I mean? And am I the only one that ever is like, why isn't there like an Earth-like planet where different places have different, you know what I'm saying? Like we're on Hoth, it's all snow, it's all ice. We go to Dagobah, it's all this like swamp with snakes. And so to both of you, am I the only one that just wants a diverse planet, or is there one that I'm not thinking of?
Thomas, do you
So, fun fact, David, in the season finale of Clone Wars, that moon that they land on in Ahsoka, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Star Wars Clone Wars season 7, I'm about to ruin the final shot for you. When she buries everyone, that's a whole different season than when Vader shows up at the end, because they crash and it's just, I don't know, it's hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's when Vader shows up, it's snowing. So it's the first time in Star Wars in any kind of visual medium that we've seen different seasons on the same location.
Okay.
Okay, here's my Hollywood hack answer, which is it's money, it's expense. I mean, like, okay, I mean, I am desperate to write a Star Wars novel. I have a Star Wars novel I really want to write, because my question is, why does every planet look like the marketplace looks like you're in the 12th century? I mean, is there no Amazon, in Star Wars? And also, like, what is Minneapolis? What does the Minneapolis of Star Wars look like? A city that's not Coruscant, but it's not some, weird backwater kind of thing. And I'm like, and do they have traveling Broadway shows? They're looking forward to, oh, look, Hamilton, or, Empire. The Emperor is coming. We're going to see the show. We've got season tickets at the local performing arts. I mean, what is that place like? And that sort of, mid-range that isn't, these two extremes.
Right.
So, I'm just fascinated with the world, and I want to delve into it desperately, but.
I'll tell you, I would certainly read that.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah, it's so true, though. I mean, think about it. And it's almost like in Star Wars, like just the whole galaxy, it's like mostly about survival. It's like, where's the leisure? Where's the luxury? We get a little bit of that in the prequels and some stuff like that. Yeah, right. And just like, but even then, it's like, I don't know, it's smugglers and it's sketchy. It's not just like, fine dining or we get the theater scene in episode 3, I guess. That's a little hint at that.
Opera, which is where I want to play, because I studied opera in Vienna. And so I love that whole thing, and I wanted to play with that, music in a traveling theater group. And, I just have, I think it's what is an accountant like? I mean, somebody is, paying your taxes. And, what is ordinary life like? And I think that comes, I mean, it does generate a lot of my fiction, because I was an attorney. And so I have this, sort of, okay, how do people make a buck? I mean, I always think my first question is, what does the economy look like? And then what does the legal system look like? Because you can't have an economy without some kind of fundamental legal system.
Yeah.
So, I have all these things I want to write about.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Clone Wars, but I'm a huge Rebels fan. So,
David, have you seen Rebels?
No, I haven't. So I can't say the same. I have to. I know.
Okay, it's the best. I love it dearly. So, and Mandalorian is great. I mean, I would crawl over broken glass to work on.
I would too. I would break the glass, then crawl over it, then clean it up.
Just show how dedicated you are, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'll do all this. I'll be fine in front of a screen, guys. Come on.
I just want to write for them. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I have a question on your book idea. It's very simple. No spoilers. What era of Star Wars is it set in?
Or would you want it to be set in, I guess?
Timeline wise.
Just before Rebels starts.
See, that's the place where I really want to know because in Rebels we actually get to see a little bit more of the economy and things of that nature, and how people live on other planets, and how these guys are okay, they're actually not okay, and all that fun stuff. But like right in that era is where it really is a powder keg of stories that could really be told well, and they just haven't touched it.
So was that
Kallus book about Agent Kallus doing a case before Rebels? That's the one I want to write. So Star Wars publicity, I'm here, and I have all worked out. So because I plot everything. George calls me an architect, and I tend to be, and that's how we work in Hollywood. Everything gets broken out. So.
And when you say George, which George do you mean?
George R.R. Martin.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Very casual. I was actually going to ask you about your experience working with him, because that's just unbelievable to me, just knowing that he's the creator of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Mr. Game of Thrones. My experience with George is we became friends way more years ago than I want to mention. And the main thing we do together is we co-created and co-edited a series called Wild Cards.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that was the writer's room I was in. We were hoping to do it as a television series. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. But in fact, one of the stories I'm writing right now is a Wild Card story. So we were in a role-playing group together for years, and then and George got me into Hollywood. George said to me if I would write a spec script, he would show it to his agent. So I did, and he did, and she sent it to Trek, and they bought the script, and they hired me, and that was the start of my Hollywood career.
That's awesome. Is he a methodical writer? Like, because that's the whole thing right now, is everyone's waiting for him to write more. Everyone's like, begging for the books to be released. So would you describe him as like a slow worker?
He's never been a fast writer. I mean, the difference is George calls himself a gardener and calls me an architect. I'm an architect. I have a corkboard and 3x5 cards, and everything gets laid out, teaser all the way through the end of the acts, and all the major scenes if it's a novel, and every scene if it's a screenplay. George kind of just goes where it feels right, and it's a little less organized than I prefer.
Yeah.
But every writer has the other phrase for it is to be a pantser. You write by the seat of your pants. I can't do that. I need to know how something ends. If I don't know what the end is, I know I can't start it.
Right.
Plot backwards from the end to the beginning.
Yeah, I feel like most people that would try to do that style would get lost, and it would turn out poor. You know what I mean? Like, I think most people need that structure. I mean, I know I probably would. Like, I mean, I'm sure, of course, Melinda, you would know, like, writing something that's like, oh, wait, this is a better idea than I had in my head earlier, planning it out. Let me actually maybe change this little thing or go this direction and this part. I had one question for you, that is, what's the biggest difference? I'm sure there's many, between, say, writing a novel like the one you just published, This Case Is Gonna Kill Me, compared to writing for a show. Like, what is take me through, like, what's the process like different, and what's actually like taking pen to paper? What's the difference there as well? I
think the major difference is that, one is a sprint. The scripts tend to be a sprint, especially if you're on a show, because you have to get it to the set. And a novel is a bit more of a marathon. And that's what freezes a lot of people up. And I think when you say, I'm going to write a novel, don't say, I'm going to write a novel. Get up in the morning and say, I'm going to write this scene. Because if you look at the whole book, it will overwhelm you.
Right.
You will collapse under the weight of it. And so it's sort of just step by step, which is why I like to outline. I mean, the other major difference is that scripts rely so much on dialogue, which for me was easy because I love dialogue. I would prefer to write dialogue. In fact, I often forget to put in descriptions. My writer like, beautiful dialogue. Are they in a white room? And I prefer to be able to say, yeah, the set design, don't worry about all that stuff. I'm just going to focus on the people and the interaction between them. So you really want to hone your dialogue if you're writing for screenplays. Novels tend to have a lot of internal dialogue, which I don't particularly care for. If there's any way I can dramatize the scene, I will do it that way rather than have it be in someone's head. And I think you have a lot more space to sort of spread out and explore different angles in a novel. In a screenplay, not only does every scene have to do something, practically every word has to do something. I mean, it's so focused, and it's
right.
it's just, you can't waste a moment of that screen time and what's happening. The other nice thing is there's a team. I mean, it's teamwork, and a great actor can save me a page of dialogue.
Phone a friend.
If I have an actor that can portray something with a look, then I don't need to write the dialogue. And to me, I love that. And it drives them crazy because they want their words. And the major thing I tell people if I'm teaching, and I do a lot of guest teaching, is if you cannot stand to have your work touched, don't go to Hollywood. Because you're going to get rewritten, and everybody's going to have an opinion from the director and the actor, and everybody is going to, the studio, the network, everybody's going to weigh in, and you have to be able to let it go and remember you're part of a team.
Right.
So that's the other major difference, is that things are going to change, and you're going to be asked to rewrite, or you're going to get rewritten. I mean, the showrunner is probably going to rewrite you. If it's a movie, the director is going to have their pet writer, and after they fire you, they'll bring in the pet writer to put polish on your script. And so it's a very different world. Working. And the major thing is don't be defeated by your novel. Don't think of it as a whole novel. Think of it as discrete pieces, and you'll be okay. You'll get it done. So.
Yeah. I can't imagine writing a full book. It's just, especially one that's lengthy, just because, exactly like you said, I feel like it'd be so easy to get completely overwhelmed with whatever you want to do. And I think sometimes just even reading, you can notice where I think some authors do take it scene by scene, or even just chapter by chapter, and then others almost even by the length of, say, a chapter. It's like, all right, this person was writing the whole book as one, and they just kind of added breaks in the middle where someone's like, oh, these are definite chapters. I did want to ask you one thing. We had a few comic book writers on a few weeks ago, Eamon Hill and Rodney Fike. They just created a comic book, Roadkill Rampage. And I was wondering if you've ever dabbled in comic book writing, or ever been offered to write a comic book. Has that ever been of interest to you?
Actually, yes, and I have. I've written a cards comic. Unfortunately, my artist is fabulous, but he's very slow. And I had just sent him another email going, where are the last 21 pages so we can publish this graphic novel? No, I had a lot of fun with it. It was interesting because I read samples of a lot of different comic book scripts. And everybody seemed to kind of invent their own form, which was sort of interesting. So I did sort of a modified final draft with my own little changes to it, script form. And that was fun. And, it was interesting because when you sit down to do it, I realized that when I sat down to start, I thought I have to pretend I'm in the editing room, because you can't have people moving. It's like you walk into the room, and a lot I've noticed, we had one writer attempt a comic and had constant movement. I didn't realize that it has to be discrete cuts. And so I just pretended I was in an editing room looking at a single cut and then the next cut. And, to move it. I had a blast. I really enjoyed doing it. And there's budgetary constraints, and you get to be the director and the writer. And
right.
I have to admit, though, I was cocky. I thought, 135 pages, piece of cake. And then I realized there are all those panels.
Yeah.
Like every time I hit a splash page, I was like, oh, this is a splash page, Yay, it's a big splash page. And I had a great mentor. I was good friends with Lynn Wein, who created Swamp Thing and Wolverine. And
Thomas.
I could go and ask Lynn. I was like, Lynn, I'm working and I'm sort of in this thing. And then he would say, okay, here's how you do it. And, walk me through, like the narrator that's so common in a lot of comics. And, they sort of helped me, work through. I was like, I think this is the narrator. And he said, tell me about it, kid. So I told him what I was doing. I said, I think it's the father. And he was like, right, it's the father. It was like I was taking a little test, with the professor. Excuse me, I'm gonna scoot this seat back. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't permitted to read comics as a kid. My dad was like, you read books, you don't read comics.
Right.
This is kind of new for me, and I admit I'm a little bit lazy about it, and I kind of prefer watching the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And the DC shows rather than reading comics. And God, I wish DC could make a decent movie.
Don't we all, Melinda? Don't we all? But the Batman's coming. Did you happen to see that trailer? The Batman trailer?
I have.
Oh, man, it looks fantastic. It actually looks like a quality film.
Oh, good. Okay, because Wonder Woman worked, and then there were those other things.
Yes.
What did you think of Shazam?
I think it almost worked. It had moments. It's like it didn't quite know what it was. And I think when it embraced the heart, it worked pretty well. And when it tried for the comedy, it sort of missed. But I didn't dislike it. I mean, I didn't. It was trying for that Guardians of the Galaxy feel, which is a movie I love, but it just didn't quite gel, and I just thought the heart of it was more effective,
Yeah, I kind of buy that because Thomas, you're a big fan of Shazam, aren't you? That's why you asked. Yeah,
I love it.
That's why you asked, because I know you're a huge fan, and I enjoyed it. I think it's kind of like Melinda, but I think I agree where the heart of the movie was good. Like just the kind of the base story of it, just like the
and finding family, which is always such a great theme for anything, and anything you watch. It's
So
to me, it's just a kid's film. Like you are I think of myself when I was 13, and I had way dumber, worse jokes that did not land when I was 13 than he has. So I'm like, that's fair. And to me, the heart of the movie is the family. And it's also that he feels like an outcast and he feels like he has to do everything himself. So when he gets the powers, then that continues forward. And the humor is just childish. So I thought the humor was great because I'm a big child.
I mean, I thought that it was people were overly critical of it because I enjoyed it. I mean, it was it's not one of my faves, but I think it worked. And it certainly would have. I think for kids, I think it probably would have worked just great. So
yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why it worked for me.
So Melinda,
13-year-old again.
Yeah, I'm 7, but I'm bearded, so it's kind of weird. Lightning Bros.
So Melinda, are you a big Marvel fan? Like, are you caught up on like Avengers and all those sort of movies? Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, welcome home.
Yeah. We are massive MCU fans, as they call it. But
I'm such a huge nerd. I mean, it's just I say it with pride. I mean, I couldn't wait for those movies, and I was at Endgame on opening day.
Yep.
To see it. I mean, I'm weird. My two favorite characters are Captain America and Loki. You know,
That's pretty funny.
you know, I'm like two extremes. You know, but yeah, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier and what this Loki show looks like.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
If we can ever, you know, get things filmed. I mean, that's, you know, right now, pandemic has put everything on just, you know, we're all frozen in amber here. So
Yeah. Have you experienced any of these, like, well, I clearly you have, but like, what's it been like with the pandemic from a production point of view?
it's awful. I mean, you know, they're trying to shoot, but you know, the requirements, the rules for what it can be, it makes it take so much longer. And I mean, that's why we're trying to just get everything set up that hopefully we can, you know, get this pilot I wrote really moving. We'll have everything in place for that. And, you know, I've written a Bible and, you know, sketched out the first 3 seasons and episodes for the first season and blah, 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 you know, so I can go pitch it if, you know, when the time comes. But, you know, right now everything's Zoom meetings if there are. And you know, my manager's like, well, we're pretty much dead right now.
Yeah.
So, but fortunately, I have books to write, and you know, so other things to do. So,
It is unreal. And it seems like some movies and TV shows are starting to catch back up, but a lot of them are in other countries that they're starting to film in. I know, where was it that like Avatar is starting to film, Thomas? Do you remember?
New Zealand.
New Zealand, I believe. Yeah. So
2 cases in the past months, you know, we did it wrong, you know, completely wrong. So, you know, I mean, I'm just figuring that it'll be next year before things really start to, and, you know, hopefully we'll have the vaccine by early next year or mid spring next year. That's the hope anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's something that is, I think there's kind of like a wave coming right now. Like there's been a blockade been put up on this just mass of water that's just coming. And in the next 2021, 2022, we're just going to have so much entertainment.
Yeah. No, I'm getting ready to watch the 2nd season of Umbrella Academy, and you know, I'm catch up on that. So
yeah.
I know that a lot of productions are starting to pick back up. My Actors Access is just blowing up with 18, 19 roles a day to submit for. None of them always fit me, but they're blowing up, especially in Atlanta, and there's some stuff going on in Texas, I know. Yeah. And there's so it is slowly getting there. I know that Falcon and Winter Soldier is supposed to start, I think September 1st.
Yeah.
No, it's September. Is their date. I think that's when they're going to start production again. I want to say in Atlanta. I think they've already gone back to was it Ukraine?
I believe it was Eastern Europe and some
Czech.
Yeah.
Something like that. One of those places.
Yeah, I don't know.
Eastern European-ish.
We're in Mexico, and we've done a pretty good job of keeping the numbers down here. So I'm hoping that things will start.
That's good.
You know, we'll see. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has definitely become a waiting game for all of us. And I wanted to bring it back a little bit. It's interesting you talked about how you weren't allowed to read comic books when you were a child. And I mean, it is, I mean, I definitely get that, where it's like read an actual book, don't read the picture book, I think is how like I might have heard it or whatever. And so, and I was definitely one that would keep reading the picture books. But anyway, I mean, honestly, my brain started cranking when you were saying you have worked on a comic and you had this idea for a Star Wars book. I'm loving the Star Wars comics from Marvel recently. I really, really enjoy them. I honestly think that a Star Wars comic from you in that timeline would be epic.
Well, if they won't let me write the novel, maybe they would let me do. Yeah, in my bedroom, there's a huge stack of that entire Charles, I mispronounce his last name, Soil, the Vader. I love it. Vader is amazing. and I have all of them. And I couldn't wait for the collection. I was waiting for the graphic, the whole compilation. So I have to wait and get comics.
Right. Yes.
And the art is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, and his writing, he just he captures it so beautifully. So yeah, Aspra, the archaeologist, is a great character. I think it'd be very cool if she were to turn up at the Mandalorian, because she's just kind of perfect for that grungy after the war setting.
Right.
Actually, I might have Callus arrest her at some point. That would be kind of fun. I'm trying to think of people, characters that I can pull in.
Ooh, yeah, because she's definitely there during that time.
Yeah, she's definitely.
They've lots of paths crossed. Because that is, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because she's still alive in whatever they're doing in her comic right now, which I think is set after 5. I think is where the Star Wars universe is in the comics right now. It's between Empire and Jedi.
Okay.
I would say, Melinda, if you haven't, I know you said you're waiting for a good DC movie to come out. I don't know if have you read many DC comics?
I haven't. We used to do TV night over at Lynn's house, and because Lynn was in the business from the time he was 18. Until his untimely and too early death, we would sit and watch all of the CW shows together.
Yes.
It was an experience, because Lynn would stop it and then give me a lecture about, okay, this guy was appearing, he's going to turn into this dude, and then he's going to have this thing, he's going to turn, and it just felt like overwhelming. A world and a tsunami of information, and he remembered all of it. And so I think I could cope with the Star Wars novels because I'm so invested in that. Mm-hmm. The rest of it just felt like I don't even know where to get in, and I'm completely overwhelmed by it.
Here's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Buy this one. This is Batman Year One. You can buy the full set where it's just one book, and it's probably, I don't even know how many pages, but I love, this thick. I love this story. It's tight. It's a complete story. That's my problem with comics too, a lot of times, where you don't know where to dive in. Mm-hmm. These lists on Reddit tell you to read 17 other series to get the full story. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to just read your one story. And the story gets a lot of it's fun. I enjoy comics. But that comic, Batman Year One is what it's called. And it's obviously, the story's about Batman's first year as being Batman. It's a great story. It's focused on him, Catwoman, Commissioner Gordon's probably the second high, what's the word I'm looking for? The second leading character in the book. And it's a great, there's no string on storylines or anything like that. So I would recommend that one. It's a really good one. And I think it would maybe, I don't know, I'm a big Batman fan, so it maybe even might gear you up for the new Batman movie coming up. So
definitely. I think just fondness too. Lynn loved writing Batman, loved Batman, and he said, even up against Superman, Batman will always win. And I said, why? He said, because he's always prepared. Yep. Always outthink whoever he's up against. We went and saw Man of Steel and I together, and that was
You didn't like Man of Steel? Oh man.
I liked parts of it a lot, and then I was also sitting with Lynn, although he was telling me to sit 2 seats away because I was eating nachos with tons and tons of jalapenos because I'm from New Mexico, and Lynn was like, just even breathing that is killing me. Over there. I think when Superman killed, that just offended Lynn at a really visceral level.
Really? Okay.
And it even me, and I've seen all the Superman movies, and it was like, no.
That is totally a very controversial moment in comic book movie history, honestly. I mean, that movie came out now 7 years ago, which is unreal to me.
I know. I can't believe that.
Yeah, 7 years. 2013 was the release year. So it's funny. I loved Man of Steel. I defend that movie to I always defend that film just because I don't know. And I've rewatched it obviously a few times, and I just really enjoy it just for the story that it is. I will agree. The ending with the mass destruction / the neck snap is a bit distasteful for me, but I'm not as offended, I think, as some people are with the kill. I think almost because I don't know. I just enjoy the film and I think a part of it is that I'm always looking towards the future, and I'm like, I want a Man of Steel 2. So I think they could do so much with that, and I enjoyed Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman a lot.
It was great. I mean, and I really, really liked what they did with Lois Lane. He wasn't an idiot. I mean, it was the first time I've seen a Lois Lane.
Yes.
Actually a competent professional woman, and I really liked that. I did not love the stuff with Dad. I mean, Kevin Costner was a perfect guy to be, Pa Kent, but I just didn't like the message he was giving his son, and I didn't buy it. I mean, if the tornado had happened when Clark was 12 or 10, I would have been okay, but it was like, oh my God, you're gonna let your dad die. I mean,
right.
So there were just things that really, I mean, once he grew up and once we got Lois in, I enjoyed all that section. Yeah, I thought that worked really well.
Yeah.
We could nerd out about these movies for hours, but
I know. Trust us, that's what we do.
that is our podcast every week.
And it's honestly, if you like it or don't, I think what's great about these films as people that are creative and enjoy these fictional characters and enjoy diving into these stories and universes is that there's always something to talk about. Like me and Thomas recently said that the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, episodes 7, 8, and 9. I brought it up, I think it was Sunday. I said, I believe it was Sunday. I said, me and Thomas have disagreements on it. Everyone seems to. Some people like Last Jedi. Some people loathe it. You both like Last Jedi. Okay. See, that's the thing.
Ha-ha!
I know, I'm outnumbered.
You're outnumbered for once.
But the thing is, what's funny is that I'm actually someone who defends that movie to people who really hate it. I'm not that big of a hater. And I'm not that big of a hater on the whole sequel. I enjoy a lot of it. I think it's very entertaining. I think it could have been better. But I think what's so fun about it is that it's so easy to talk about. Like, everyone has an opinion on those movies.
Well, and I went back and because I was reading all the Vader comics, I went back and rewatched the prequels.
Yeah.
And, they are not as awful as people say or that I remembered. And Revenge of the Sith is a really powerful movie. I wish it had been 20 minutes longer so that we could have had a little bit of Anakin's sense of isolation and, grief and a sense of abandonment. But that poor kid actor who had to play Anakin at whatever he was, 10, 11. But all the Obi-Wan stuff in the first film was terrific. I really liked it. So I think and I liked The Last Jedi. I mean, the Star Wars movie that really just made me fall in love again was Rogue One.
Yes.
It was fantastic. And even Solo. I mean, I saw Solo in the theater and really enjoyed it. It's a great caper movie. It's a great little caper movie. It's not supposed to be, anything. It's not meant to be galaxy shaking. It was a story of this young man and what makes him a cynic and what makes him. And then I watched it again on cable and went, this is a really fun movie. I don't get all the hate. I really don't. I think there's just, and look, as one of my friends, none of us get up in the morning and say, I want to make a terrible TV series or I want to write a really bad book. That isn't what anybody does. I mean, everybody, you try, and sometimes things just don't work out exactly as you had hoped. my thrill is that they have picked people who love Star Wars passionately to do the television. I mean, Favreau and Filoni,
Yeah.
they get this. I mean, they
Mhm.
get this at its core, and it shows. So that makes me very happy.
Yeah. Would you say that's something? I mean, honestly, thinking about it, it's almost a miracle any of these things turn out well because of I feel like the amount of filters that has to go through. It's like, hey, I'm Melinda Snodgrass. I have this awesome script. Now, 17 people are going to edit it, and then we have to get the actors that are perfect for it. And then we have this producer, that director. It's like how it just honestly, it seems a bit overwhelming. Just me, no one, just thinking that like, I'm going to create something, and then it has to get through all these different vessels of people and editing, and having to actually have someone act it out. It's almost a miracle anything turns out right, because it seems like there's so much that can get twisted, or like you mean it one way. Like, have you felt that before, especially in TV?
Oh yeah, I mean, you get the wrong actor, the wrong director. I mean, one of my boss on Reasonable Downs, said to me once. He said, "A great director can make a bad script average, and a bad director can make a brilliant script into crap."
Yeah.
And he said, that's what can happen. And so you're relying on that, and then suddenly budgetary issues will come in. I mean, we we were making all kinds of compromises on the wild cards thing, like, okay, well, we can't afford to do that because it's just impossible. The expense would be impossible. And oh my God, this lead actor is going to be in makeup, for at least 3 hours. So we're only going to be able to shoot for 5. I mean, there are all these things that come into it that you're trading off. And, and does it fit the needs of the particular network, and then
Right.
it costs so much now. I mean, that's the other.
Yeah.
Especially the kind of movies we like, they were
Right.
a lot of spectacle, and sometimes too much spectacle. I mean, the reason I love Captain America: The First Avenger, especially the first half of that movie, is a very small personal story.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes a fairly standard superhero story.
Yeah.
In the second half, but that first half is remarkable, and one of my favorite of the movies. So.
Yeah. It is true, and it's something that's funny you say that we love spectacle, especially in these big blockbuster films. It's awesome, and we want to see a Thanos being portrayed that looks amazing, that looks perfect and looks almost believable in a way. But I will say, the reason I like these movies so much, and I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. That's my favorite character through and through, and I just love the character. But the reason I don't love him because he climbs walls and slings his webs. I love him because of what he represents and his story. That's how it is with all these characters. Like you were saying of Batman, and how he's so clever and always is prepared. Like you don't love these characters because they can punch hard and run fast. At least I don't. I mean, if that was why, I could watch anything on YouTube and be fully entertained. I think where some people get a little lost is, and that's where I think, bringing it back to Star Wars, especially the original trilogy, and just Star Wars in general, why it's so popular, I think it's because the story is so unique and interesting, and the characters, especially in the original, are so good, and it's a character-driven story, and it's about these ideological thoughts and feelings, and I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, but it's just something I'm passionate about, because I just think that some people, I think, look at me, or look at anyone who's really like a nerd, like just someone who really enjoys comics or comic book movies, and it's like, oh, you just like the big, flashy stuff. And it's like, I do love that stuff. I love the explosions and the fight, and I love the amazing choreography you've been getting lately from a lot of different movies. Black Widow's choreography looks awesome, by the way, whenever that comes out. But yeah, so I will say that a lot of it is that I love the characters, and when they nail the characters, that's when I enjoy the movie most. And I think, Thomas, that's why you enjoyed Shazam, I think, a lot, is because you really enjoyed the characters, not so much because he was jumping over buildings or through buildings or lasers,
Cared none about that. Cared about the fact that he's a kid and now he's got all these powers, and what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly. So It is definitely interesting. I will, before we close this out or anything, I did want to ask you, Melinda, if you don't mind, a little bit about your book that just came out. So it's called "This Case Is Gonna Kill Me."
Right.
Tell us just a little bit about it. Just something to.
It's about a young woman lawyer who works in a vampire law firm in Manhattan. Because I figured if mythical beings really existed, they would be rich and powerful. And I was frustrated with a lot of urban fantasy because it's always mean streets. And I was like, vampires would be wealthy and they would be in politics, and so I wanted to explore what the halls of power looked like. So I made my vampires primarily lawyers and history professors. My werewolves tend to be bond traders or, Blackwater, they found mercenary armies. And the elves are all rock and roll stars or actors, so that they're, trading on there. And I wanted to create a world where, what does that look like? And I did something a little different in that there are no female werewolves or vampires in my universe, and there's a secret reason for that, which you'll find out if you read the series. There are 3 books. I'm going to be working on a 4th book in my copious spare time. And I just, how are humans going to make a buck when vampires sort of come out and join the society? And so, if you go out to a restaurant, they're no longer white tablecloths, they're black tablecloths because they have a menu for the humans and they have a sipping menu for the vampires. And, with people, with pictures of, young men, okay, this one is, he's a marathon runner, so highly oxygenated blood, if you're feeling a bit bad. And so you can order off the sipping menu. And so I had a lot of fun playing with that. And I was an attorney, so I got to write. I actually did a preparation to pitch this as a TV series. It hasn't happened yet, but the werewolf who sues a salon because they messed up his fur, used the wrong treatment, and just fun things that I thought would be interesting to play with. So that was the genesis of the books, and it's the one time when I horse nerded out. Most of my characters sing because I studied opera. And this one, I made her unable to carry a tune in a bucket, but I thought, I'm going to put my other passion in this book, which is horses. So she is a dressage rider, as I am. And so there's a lot of horse neep in addition to a lot of legal neep. And so I had fun writing them. They're first person. They're a little different than my other series, which is a space opera, and another series, which is the occult thriller that is the basis of my pilot. And so I like to try different things. That's the beauty of being a writer. You never stop learning, and you never stop experimenting with new ways to write and new ways to tell a story. And I never get bored. I got very bored being a lawyer. I don't get bored being a writer.
Yeah, it is cool seeing that you kind of putting yourself in your writing a little bit especially with this book, with the lawyer aspect and the horses. That's pretty neat. I like to see that. Like, it's a cool little wink to, if you actually know who's writing the book, to see like, hey, this is actually, you're showing yourself in it a bit.
Harlan Ellison once said, if you don't want people to see your soul, don't write. A good friend who's thinking about writing, and he said, I just can't stand to put myself out there. And I said, well, you're going to have to get over that if you want to be a writer.
Yeah.
You're going to have to make yourself open and vulnerable. You have to show yourself. And that's one of the, you've got to be willing to pour yourself out on the page. So.
Right. Well, I will say, looks awesome. Sounds great. I think it's really interesting. I think I love your ideas of taking the supernatural or fantastical and kind of making it actually real world and putting them in a real world environment where I feel like we hear that a lot, but you're actually trying to put it to fruition where they're acting as real people. And we do see that a bit in my brain. I go, because I heard lawyer, I go to Daredevil's Netflix series where we are kind of seeing them practice law. And then, we're also seeing them go out at night and beat up some dudes, which I love that series. I think that's actually,
I loved it. Best action I've ever seen on television. It was amazing.
I know, right? And I think this would, I mean, just your little pitch, like I think it would make a great story similar to that, like on like an Amazon Prime or Netflix. Like I think that'd be a really cool. And I think a lot of people these days really, I think, enjoy that sort of fiction where it is like serious. Like I could see it going like getting very serious, like being in a courtroom. That's obviously a big trope of like, you know, having a lawyer or whatever, an attorney in a book where people really enjoy that sort of thing. Law and Order has been going on for how many years? But I do say, like, just scrolling through a Netflix or a Hulu or anything, you see a lot more serious Suits kind of vibes you're getting from things.
I used my legal degree. I mean, I wrote The Measure of a Man for Star Trek Next Generation because I was an attorney on lawyer shows, and it plays a part in a lot of my work, a lot of my books. And yeah, I mean, the other series I'll recommend is Wild Cards. It is a very real world look at how superheroes would move through our world. And we have 20 odd books are available. Yeah, I mean, we're very proud. It's the longest running shared world anthology ever.
Wow.
We have a fantastic team of writers. George and I created the sandbox, and then we invited friends to come play, and we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's another way of looking. And in fact, we're talking about perhaps some point doing a book that I would handle just about what does the law look like in a world of superheroes? You know, how do you handle those things? And I'm fascinated, you know, with what that looks like. So that's another thing on the
right.
I would like to write. So
we got a little taste of that in Captain America: Civil War with the Sokovia Accords. And honestly, I almost feel like they should have leaned in that more. I hope we almost get a bit more of that maybe in Falcon and Winter Soldier, because you're right. Like, it's such an, you know, these people go around and there's superpowers and their Iron Man suits and blow entire cities up. And then it's like, all right, but what next? And I'm glad.
Things in Spider-Man. I mean,
yeah.
You know, they're guys who are just trying to make a buck, you know, salvaging the stuff, and fall into criminality. And I love that, you know, ordinary people just trying to make a good life for my family, and these guys, these gods. And that was my frustration in Civil War. If I'd written Civil War, I would have had the focus be the father from Sokovia. Because his story, why he did what he did, to try to ease his own pain, and there wasn't enough of him, and there wasn't enough of what was driving him. He said, I can't harm them. You know, they destroyed his life, they killed his family.
Yeah.
And you know, he was, to me, the most interesting character in that.
Zemo is who you're referencing, right?
Yeah, Zemo. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, no worries. He will be back in Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier. So yeah, he will be back in that Disney Plus series. So it should be exciting.
His mask.
Yeah,
with his mask, his comic accurate mask.
And you know, it's funny. He's going back to what we were talking about with characters kind of driving the story, is that I think that's a very good example where that movie is absolutely filled with some of the best action, most hype fan moments. I mean, just the airport fighting scene, as someone who's a comic book fan, it's just like, I could watch this on loop on YouTube all day. But it's like, I get what you're saying. Like, Zemo's character, I think he's honestly an underrated villain in the MCU because he was so good. His character made perfect sense, and I agree. I don't think they leaned into him enough. I think they were maybe scared to, in a way, because they knew he was new and popular. What's up?
He is the only villain who actually won. Thanos still lost.
Yeah.
The only reason the Avengers came back together was Thanos. Zemo won. He's the only one who fulfilled that was his whole goal. Yeah. Make them fight, make them break up, kill himself.
And
that last part.
Yeah.
But.
Right. And that was the whole point at the end, where it's like, he's like, the agent asked him, you know, how does it feel? You lose, you're handcuffed in here. And he's like, well, did I lose? And it's like, it's perfect, you know, and it's a very good point, you know. I love that film, but anyway.
I think he was the most interesting character, and I wanted more of him.
Yeah.
but I wasn't writing it, so they didn't get to do that.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I really hope. What's up, Thomas?
I was going to say, I think it really helps that Daniel Bruhl played him, because that man can act a paper bag into a sandwich and a half.
It's the actor who can handle it with a look,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, Melinda, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great pleasure. I've learned a lot from talking to you, and I'm happy that you are a comic book fan. Make sure, hey, if you ever want to read Batman, I'm telling you, Batman Year One. I have no affiliation to this book. I just really enjoy it, and it's a contained story.
Make sure she gets the right Year One, because there's 5 different versions. It's the Frank Miller version, yes?
Yeah, by Frank Miller and David. I can't pronounce his name. Yep.
David.
Yes.
David M.
So before we wrap up, I want to go around. Let's give our favorite Star Wars films, and then let's go home. Thomas, I'm starting with you.
Rogue One.
Rogue One's your favorite. Wow.
It's the one that I can watch every time and be like, all right, like there's nothing. It's just, I think it's my favorite because it also is by itself. Like it leads into 4, but that Vader scene, bro.
The Vader scene.
The Vader scene is it for me,
Also, comment. I want to hear your favorite Star Wars movies too. Do you have yours, Melinda, or should I go?
Go. I'm still.
Mine's Empire Strikes Back. It's an easy answer. I just rewatched it, and rewatching it again made me. I actually went to the theater. I went to Regal Theaters to see it. I went with my mask and everything, and it was a really fun experience. I talked about it on last week's show, and it was really fun. It was my first time seeing it in theaters, obviously, Empire Strikes Back, because they're showing a bunch of classic movies in the theaters right now because they're just now reopening. And yeah, so rewatching it, it's just the best Star Wars film to me. It is a small story. We have just every point in it. Every location we go to, I think, is just fantastic. Hoth, Dagobah, Cloud City. Like, it can't get much better than that, in my opinion. And each has such a purpose. The stuff with Luke and Yoda, I remember thinking when I was younger that was kind of a boring part. But rewatching it a bit, it's like, wow, it has so much importance to it just in Star Wars in general. So anyway, that's my pick. The ending, obviously, it has some of the most famous lines between Luke and
join me and we will rule the galaxy.
Exactly. It's his father. We also have the Han Leia, I love you, I know. It's just awesome. It's a first time seeing Yoda. Melinda, what's your choice? I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, first of all, you both have excellent taste, because I was going back and forth between Rogue One and Empire. That is my favorite. I have to come down on the side of Empire.
Ooh.
Empire is why I became a writer.
Wow.
I love Star Wars so much.
Yeah.
I was a deeply unhappy lawyer. I was in this awful situation in a law firm. I was so unhappy. I went and saw with my dear friend Victor Milan. We always went on opening day to see these movies. And we got to the scene where Luke is trying to lift the X-Wing.
Yeah.
He gives up. And Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. And it hit me. It was like being pierced with something. And because I was sitting there going, I hate my life. I hate my job. I hate my life. I've got to do it. And I'm with all these fabulous writers, and and I looked at Vic after it was all over, and I said, "Do or do not. There is no try." And I walked in the next morning. I typed up my letter of resignation, and I quit on the spot. And I packed up all my stuff and laid that. And so for me, Empire gave me a life and a career that I loved, and so I've got to give it up for Empire. But Rogue One is so close as my favorite film. But,
wow, that's unreal. I mean, like I said, I didn't mention that part of it. So great film. Empire's the best. Changing lives.
Thank you for not. I mean, I've literally had people say, "You took advice from a puppet."
Right.
And I don't care.
Yeah. I watched Sesame Street.
Yeah, where's the hypocrisy in that? Your kid, your parents throwing you from Sesame Street, telling you to take advice from a puppet. Where's the? Anyway,
So no, but yeah, I love it dearly. So anybody who has access to the Star Wars people, I'm here.
Hey,
Be involved in any place, anyway, book, TV show, anything. Thank you guys so much for this. This was such a fun way to spend the afternoon. I really appreciate it. An evening, I guess, for you guys. You're all on the East Coast.
yep.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for coming on. Anytime you want to come back on, you are more than welcome. We will definitely talk more Star Wars with you.
And the new Batman. We'll have many things to talk about.
We will have so many things, all of the things to talk about.
Yes, and good luck with the book. Good luck with we have the link in our comments. You go check it out. The case is gonna kill me. Please go check it out. Amazon. It's all good, all there. Sounds awesome. Make sure to go rewatch how Melinda described it, because I think it really will sell you over. And obviously, of course, good luck with that pilot that we can't know what it is about, but because of everything happening, hopefully we will sometime soon. Melinda, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Empire's the best. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. If you want to stay in the lobby, we're about to close up, and I want to show you the Batman trailer because I want to know your thoughts. Okay. All right.
You have to guide me through that.
That'll be all right. I'll do it with technology.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
You'll handle the tech.
Yes, I'll handle the hard stuff. All right, I'll see you in a sec. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Melinda M Snodgrass. What a chat. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, that was awesome.
That was for going now 13 hours working today, that was a great way to wrap up the day.
Yeah. I mean, what a back-to-back days of great interviews. Bill Sadler was absolutely awesome. Go check that out if you guys haven't already. Only way shorter conversation, but still a ton of fun. We're on a bit of a roll right now, but
we're on a roll. It's an unfortunate thing that I have to travel this week.
Yeah, we'll be back though, everyone. We'll be back. But yeah, Thomas, this has been very fun.
Been very fun. We will have a show covering Return of the Jedi. It may be Sunday. It may not be. I have to travel for work. That is all I'm legally allowed to say. So exciting times. But enough about me and David. This is the big cover so that you can read everything. So you're making sure you buy the right book. White Fang Law, Book 1. This Case is Gonna Kill Me. Written by Melinda M Snodgrass, who you just saw. It is available. I put the links in the chat. We also posted it on our page so that you can go and buy in any format that you want. Terry McCall. Oh, we here's some answers from the comments really quick. My mom says none because she does not like Star Wars. That's how she laughs. Nailed it. Terry says A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, Last Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens, Solo. Really, Attack of the Clones is still my least favorite. It's probably always going to be my least favorite, and that's just because there's not enough Obi-Wan.
Solo is dead last for Terry. Dang.
Everybody's a critic.
Force Awakens.
Wow. Time flew by so fast. What happened today?
Having fun.
I don't remember what I was about to say.
David,
how do we close our show? Hey, thank you for coming.
Social media or
social media. Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I got distracted.
Yes, sir.
Forgot to get Melinda's social media. We'll get that and we'll post that on our page and in the comments as well for everyone. David, where can everyone find you on the social media?
Yes, you guys can find me, as you know, David Thompson on Facebook, David J. Thompson, TikTok, Instagram, and David Thompson with 2 A's on Twitter. Thomas, what about you?
Thomas Carter Rochester -actor on Facebook, at Thomas Carter Rochester, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces on Instagram, at Thor Son of Dale on TikTok, RIP, at TC Rochester ACT, that is TC Rochester Act on the Twitter, and Life of Thor, where you can watch Thor Watches the Mandalorian Season 1 right here, right now on the YouTube. If you search for that, you'll find it. Be prepared for Season 2. Also be prepared for mega spoilers. If you've not watched Rebels, David, then I will spoil Rebels for you in the middle of that season.
That's fine.
And of course, more importantly than us, you can find Lights Thunder Action Show right here on our Facebook page at Lights Thunder Action Show, on YouTube at the HWWS WebTV channel, where you have loads of content. You can find more interviews with Melinda, and more interviews with Bill Sadler. Too many letters are going on in my head right now. And of course, you can find us on Twitter at LTA Podcasting, action verb ING. Thank you all for joining us. This has been Lights thunder action.